And based on your comments, that's how we are going to decide who takes priority. I'll be back with you. Yes.
All right, we get Daniel here.
Hi, Daniel.
Hey, what do you do for a holiday? Do you go back onto a cruise ship?
I do nothing. I eat and sleep and poop. I do nothing. I just stay at home. I used to travel a lot. Now I really, really appreciate the time that I spend with my family as much as I possibly can when I'm not on board. Obviously now with my other half, she makes me travel from time to time. Yeah. She last year we went through Europe, and 2 weeks in it, I was already broke. But but I love just cooking for my family. I love taking care of the garden, playing with the dog. I miss driving. Simple things that you don't realize up until the moment that you can't do that. So yeah, I miss driving. My mom says that she's the only person she knows that that gets relaxed in a traffic jam. I enjoy it. I promise you will come for you. Yes.
What made you feel like that you wanted to do this job?
What made me feel like I wanted to do this job? I wanted to travel. See, when I graduated from college, I felt like I was studying too much, and I was supposed to start working with my dad. Dad, I'm gonna go for to travel the world. And a friend of mine, I had this rock band back at home. It was very bad. We were not good. And my drummer, he was graduating in tourism. And he said, Felipe, come to my college. They're doing this interview for this cruise line, and it was Carnival. So I went to the interview. Both of them went to the interview. I wanted to travel, and they asked us, what do you want to do? And I said, I want to be one of those guys, by the pool doing the entertainment. And they laughed at my face. They said, this is not for you. This position is only for Americans, for British, Australians, because English is not my first language, right? And they said, we are interviewing for the food and beverage department. And I said, okay, I'll take it. And he looked at my resume. I was graduating from law school. And he said, so if I give you the position of a dishwasher, will you take it? I said, yeah, I just want to travel. In my mind, I just wanted to, kick the door and get in. And thinking, once I'm inside, I can change. And I had no idea, right? And he said, okay, I'll give you the position of an assistant waiter. And I came on board as an assistant waiter. And I found out that I'm the worst waiter possible. You have no idea how hard it is. First, I'm not coordinated to be a waiter on land because I can't balance things on a tray. On a ship rocking, it's even worse. So I was bad. I was pretty bad. I was breaking everything all the time. And then I was the waiter. Some of you might know, especially if you've been cruising for a long time, I was the waiter of a gentleman by the name of John Heald. John Heald is he's the brand ambassador for Carnival. He used to be a cruise director, so I was his waiter, and we were constantly telling jokes to one another as I was bringing his food. And he said, I would like to have you as part of my fun squad. And in 2 days, he offered me a promotion, and I changed. That was back in 2004 when I changed position. And since then, I've been with entertainment. Back then, the fun squad position used to be called social host. So then there was another position that we don't have anymore. The closest to, I still see the position as what Christine does, assistant cruise director, because without Christine, it's hard to do my job. She's always, correcting the wrong things that I do. So then I became an assistant cruise director, then an acting cruise director, because in order to be promoted fully to cruise director, you have to sit on the cruise director chair for 365 days. So, and then cruise director. And then I remember I was one of the youngest cruise directors the company has ever had. And now I'm the senior cruise director. Not the oldest. Yeah, older cruise director.
Noted.
But I'm getting there.
We got Grant here.
Hi, Grant.
Just wondering with you and what other cool destinations you've done around Australia and you and this ship.
We've been to sailing out of Sydney. I've had the chance to be in Melbourne for the cup, the horse racing, and the tennis cup as well. So we deviated. We went there. This next cruise, we're going to my island, Phillip Island. I'm gonna use that joke all cruise long. Then we do a few cruises that we repeat. We have a lot of 3 and 4 day cruises. On the 3 day cruises, we do what we call cruise to nowhere. We sail from Sydney, we go nowhere. We just do little donuts and come back. Then we have the 4 day cruise that we go to Morton Island. Then we're gonna have a 10 day cruise where we're gonna go to Fiji next month. I'm very excited about it. Sometimes we get to go to New Zealand. So the ship is going to be doing these runs. It's very exciting because it's never the same thing. So that's the beauty, of cruising out of Australia. There's always different places to go, so it never gets old.
All right, we got Aiden here.
Hi, Aiden.
How do you get electricity when you're on a sea?
We have this long extension cord that we plug, and no. The ship produces our own electricity, so the engines, we have 6 electrical diesel engines on board. 4 of them, they produce, and I'm gonna give you the exact number, they produce 15,549 horsepower each. It's a lot, right? And 4 of them, they produce 11,590. So 2 of them, they're a little bit smaller, and 4 of them, they're the big ones. And not only they produce, basically we burn diesel, naval diesel, and then we produce energy that is stored in huge batteries, and those batteries, they send energy for the propulsion system and the hotel area and all of that. So we produce our own electricity on board when the engines are on. But even when the ship is docked, when we arrive to Sydney tomorrow, those engines, they cannot be turned off. So they still stay on to provide electricity to the hotel side. Hello.
All right, we got Frank here.
Hi, Frank.
Hey, if you weren't working in this industry, what do you think you'd be doing?
I'll probably be practicing law. Yeah. Yes. Now I call the world home, right? But yeah, that's Rio is where my bed is, my car is, my dog. But I spend 10 months per year, at sea, and more than half of my life has been at sea. So you can look at me more like a fish than a man. Been at sea, more than on land. So, but yes, Rio is still my home.
We got Adrian here.
What changes would you like to see to cruising in the future?
What changes? Well, I think to start, I think they could, make the cruise director salary the same as the captain. I don't know. I think one cool change that has already started, it is in motion, is making all these ships a little bit greener, with better fuel, and reducing impact that we cause to the destinations, places that we visit. I love to see that, changing in the industry. I would love to see, I would love to see, ships being able to go faster from one point to another, so we could, take these cruises and expand, the length and the reach of the cruises. So hopefully with greener fuel, they can be more efficient as well, so we can go further and see, even more beautiful places. I would love to see that. But yeah, I fell in love with the cruising industry. So, and I've seen so many changes already since I first started. So I love to see this. Just to give you an example, this ship, this is a very fast ship compared to many others. Our cruising speed, regular speed, is 23 nautical miles, which just to translate to kilometers per hour, it will be around 43 kilometers per hour. So it's pretty fast if you think, this is a massive building moving at 43 kilometers per hour. It's in one straight line, so you can cover a lot of ground, or water for that matter, in moving at 43 kilometers per hour, in one straight line. So, yeah. I did not need my degree to become a cruise director. Actually, I never told Carnival that I had graduated from law school. They saw that in the interview, but on board I never told anyone. So it's more like we do a lot of background checks for all crew members. So the requirements to be a crew member, you gotta be at least 18 years of age. It's the same requirements for the airlines, interestingly actually. So it's 18 minimum. I think the maximum used to be 65, just like airlines, but I think they have a little leeway. I think 2 years were added to 67 now, as long as you're fit. But they do a background check to see, if you haven't done anything, silly, if you're a good person. You need a lot of medicals, exams. You need to complete some safety at sea, courses in order to come. And then once you're on board, you go through a lot of courses. Every month we are going through courses. For those of you that were here on board in our last port of call, you heard we had a full drill going on. So there's a lot of trainings for us, but some positions, obviously, they will require. For example, the medical team. We have 2 doctors and 6 qualified nurses on board. They all need to have, their degree, or they all need to have their certificates and all of that. To become a captain, it's not something that you just go like, oh, I want to be a captain today. So you do need to have all your maritime trainings and courses and certificates. For cruise director, it's more of time on board, dedication, and and getting those comments from.
We got follow-up questions.
Everyone is being very well behaved with the questions. Nobody's asking funny stuff. Yes.
Hi, Felipe.
Hi.
In all your years of cruising, have you ever experienced really scary high seas?
Yes. At the beginning of this cruise. What? You thought I was in bed like la 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 la. I was like, what the? That wasn't the scariest. It was very bumpy. I know I was on board. I remember. It was very bumpy, but it's the sea conditions. I wasn't scared at all. Just because I've known Captain Sal for many years, and I know exactly what he was doing. The weather is what it is. I know. But we did have, I remember there was one situation on my first contract. Back then, the satellites that we carry now, I remember we were in Jamaica and I was on board the Carnival Imagination. And the ship was, we left the port of Ocho Rios in Jamaica, and there's a big bay, and then there's the exit of the bay. There's a little channel that you go through to get out of the bay, right? So we left the port, and because of this, there was this hurricane coming over, and the port closed down, and they evacuated the port. Then, as we were going through the bay, to the exit of the bay, the hurricane completely changed courses and came to the exit of the bay and sat there. So we couldn't leave. So the captain thought, let's get back to the port that was closed and evacuated, so we couldn't dock anymore. So we were in the middle of the bay, and so the hurricane came through the entrance of the bay towards us, and then the captain dropped the anchors, and we held on for dear life. And we were there, with the thrusters. We were shaking a lot, and we lost 60% of our china in the dining room. Yeah, the china stays, in big trolleys, and most of the trolleys they collapsed. And but that was interesting. But we've been through a few hurricanes, in my career, but I feel safer when there's a hurricane. I feel safer on board than on land. Because here we can simply go like, nope, and go away. You can't do that with your house, right? So I feel very safe on board.
We got Gail here.
Hi, Gail.
Oh, I know I
Life is beautiful. Thank you.
You said earlier that you like to travel, and do you get a lot of time when you stop at ports to go and do your own thing, or only certain hours?
It depends on the cruise. On this particular cruise, I did not, just because and some of my team members as well, I try to rotate them to give them, a fair amount of time on land. But for me, I'm the only cruise wreck, so I have to stay. These water shuttle operations, I have to stay from the beginning to the end. So by the time we finish, I'm already so exhausted, and that I normally, just decide to rest. And but when it's a docking port, then I like to get off the ship. When it's water shuttle, I prefer to, run the operation until the end, and then rest a little bit. So when you come back, I'm fresh, ready to party with you. But crew members, we like to get off the ship. We like to enjoy the ports as well, and we do so. There's one thing that can limit our time ashore. 1/3 of all team members must remain on board. It's called port manning. It's in case we need to evacuate the ship when we are in any one of the ports of call. And we rotate the crew members to give everyone, fair amount of time on land as well. So we all rotate these port manning positions. I like to, get off, but most of the times if the ship is docked. And just so you know, I'm not the lady of bingo. Bingo cards are being sold outside. As soon as I see Oscar, as soon as I see the mustache on the corner, I'll get out of here. So I'm just killing time because I get lonely. Yes.
I got Silka here.
Hi.
Hi, I was just wondering, do you have personally some issues with seasickness and with the crew as well? Is there a lot of seasickness around?
I think you get used to it with time. I personally don't feel it anymore. I think I only got seasick on the first, weeks of my first contract. It doesn't affect me that much. But crew members, we learn how to deal with that. There are little secrets. One secret, in case you don't know, I should have told you on the first day of the cruise about this one. But, peanut butter jelly sandwich. Did you know that? Yeah? It's not going to make you feel better, but it looks the same going up or down. I'm sorry, it's a silly joke. No. Eating apple helps. Having an apple juice or green apple is even better. Ginger ale. So we all, exchange those little secrets, yeah? But with time, you get your sea legs. All right, you've been very patient. Let me give you my microphone.
What would you do if you didn't work on a cruise?
Nothing. I would probably want to be a passenger. But I don't know. I said I'll probably be, working in the area that I graduated, law. But I think entertainment somehow would probably pull me. Yes, I have someone over there.
We got Brad here.
Hi, Brad. That's a beautiful beard.
What's the length of time that the ship's going for? Like, what's their lifespan?
These ships these days, it all depends on how well the ship is kept. And now we do, dry docks, every so often. So this ship is going on a dry dock at the beginning of 2027. This is when we lift the ship from the water, literally lift the ship from the water. It sits on, did you know that the bottom, the hull of the ship is actually flat? It goes like this. So it's flat. So we bring the ship into this massive box where the ship is the shipyard, and at the bottom, it's this big box is flooded, and at the bottom it has hundreds of wooden blocks. and then they pump the water out and pump air in. So that entire box, the shipyard lifts the ship. And then we scrape everything and we change carpets, we bring new areas, we change the decoration of the... So we do that every 2 years, which helps the lifespan of the ships. The ships, they can go up to, 30, 40 years, sailing safely. The main reason why I would say ships would be, discarded and, and retired would be mainly because of efficiency, because we want more efficient ships. But the Carnival Adventure was released, I think, in 2001, if I'm not mistaken. So you see, the ship has 25 years old, and she's going on a beauty dry dock, to update her. So these ships can last for a long, long time. Good question.
We got Alex here.
Hi, Alex.
Hi. And what do you do for your own entertainment during a cruise? What's the things you like?
Well, I'm gonna put in order my favorite things to do. Number one, when I'm not working, sleep. I love to sleep. Number two, eat. I love eating. Number three, watching stupid videos on YouTube. I mean, cartoons, just to clear my mind. So when I don't want to think about anything, I'll just watch a cartoon, or watching movies, Netflix. So what I like to do, whenever my phone picks up signal, I always, just hotspot my iPad and then I download Netflix, and then when we are at sea and I'm not working, I just watch. So I love watching things, that's my life. I have no life. But yeah, I like to spend time as well with my team. They're so funny, and each one of them they have
Number four.
Number 4. That was a game that we were playing, and each number had one.
Number 1.
Number 1. Oh, wait. Forgot number 1. Wait, don't tell me.
Number 2.
Number 2. But we like to create, as a manager, we try to create, a little bonding moments, like let's have a pizza night, and then we reserve one lounge that is not, one crew lounge in the crew areas, and then I like to bring the team and spend time with them, just talk about, our life back at home. So I love spending time with my team as well. Okay, you'll be very patient, and then we're gonna go.
During COVID, cruise lines got a bit of a bum rap. Were you on board? Were you sent home? What was your experience?
I was at home, and we paused all the ships 2 days before I flew back. So I had already packed to return to my ship, and so I was just enjoying my last 2 days, and I was like, I saw what was going on, and I was a little bit scared of it, and then we completely paused everything. So I think what the cruise industry did was amazing. Carnival specifically was amazing. They pretty much, after we disembarked all cruises, all the ships, we still had all crew members, thousands of crew members on 20 plus 27 ships. I think back then we had 25 ships. Oh no, we still had the famous class ships, so 28 ships. So we had thousands of crew members on board, but we couldn't disembark them and send them home because all airports were closed and the ports were not accepting the ship. So Carnival did something amazing. On the Atlantic Ocean and on the Pacific Ocean, they had a meeting point where all the ships came together. Then they dropped the anchor and they separated all ships by continents. So this ship is gonna be Asia, this ship is gonna be Europe, this ship South America. And we transferred crew members through the lifeboats like the water shuttle from ship to ship, separated everybody based on where they're from, and then we used the ships as a transportation for them to go back home. and we sent the ships to those specific continents so they could get off the ship and go back home. So that was a multi-million-dollar operation, and we sent all crew members home. Yes, it wasn't something that we did like that. It took a couple of months to be able to do all of that, but we repatriated all crew members. Obviously, every single ship still had people on board, approximately 100 team members on board. I was in charge of bringing one of the ships back and resetting the Carnival Sunrise back. So I remember when I boarded the ship, there were only 100 team members on board, and it was the most weird thing ever, because all lights in guest area were off, right? Only emergency lights were on. So imagine yourself walking in all these corridors and no lights, only emergency lights, on the floor, and walking and seeing nobody in all these corridors, for hours. And then, suddenly, by mistake, you're passing one corridor and another crew member is passing on the opposite side, and you see that rope, that shadow pass by. That was scary. So yeah, it was interesting, but Carnival did the right thing. Carnival even paid crew members for the beginning, to help us take care of our families back at home. They did pay me for a couple of salaries, when I was home. So I have nothing but respect for this company, for the amount of money they spend on the crew, to help the crew, stay above the waterline.
A follow-up question from Frank.
Hi, Frank.
How and when did you meet your girlfriend?
My girlfriend. Okay. She was on the Carnival Miracle 3 years ago when I was doing the Hawaiian cruises. So we met on the big corridor downstairs that we call I-95, and we met each other, and she was dating another man, so I was very well behaved, and then I learned that they broke up, and then I made a move, and we kissed in Hawaii for the first time. We were in Hawaii, and then since then we kissed. We had this volcano, this massive ceramic volcano drink, so I was pulling a volcano close to me as she was drinking. There was a whole story, and because of that, now every ship I go to, I have to take this massive volcano with me, and the volcano is on board. So yes, we met, on a cruise 3 years ago. And she's from Mexico, very Latina, and she gets mad at me. She switches into Spanish, and I go like, okay. I have time maybe for a couple more. I don't want to delay Oscar. Yes.
We've got Jackson here.
Hi, Jackson.
Hey, Ryan. I was just wondering, if you've been with Carnival for 24 years, have you had any bad experiences with guests? And if so, what's been the worst?
It was taking too long for this to happen. I'm gonna share interesting experiences because I don't want to sound negative, but dealing with thousands of people every cruise, not always, it's the best experience. Not everyone says the nicest thing. Most of the times it's amazing. Sometimes, sometimes people are having a bad day and they just drop it on you without filter. Just move on, I had a comment once, it was a written comment, saying, Felipe is too Brazilian. I don't know how to change that now, but I have some interesting stories. I'm gonna share one of my favorites. There are many of them. One of my favorite ones was in one of the Carnival ships. I'm not gonna tell you which. I'll tell you the name of the ship. The ship is no longer with us. It was on board the Carnival Fantasy, and it was around 12:30 at night. I was a new cruise director back then. It was back in 2007 or 8, I think.
and I got this phone call, Felipe, you gotta come to guest services, we have a situation. I got there, and the guest services manager, hotel director, everyone is there, everyone was stressed. There was this one lady, she was crying, very stressed, and she said she was demanding to talk to the cruise director. So I said, yes, how can I help you, what's going on? She said, how can you put me in the cabin I cannot go back into my cabin is haunted. There's a ghost in my cabin. That's how the conversation started. You can't tell someone, that there's no ghost. I mean, that's what she believed, So I was like, what? A ghost in the cabin? Never heard about that. So I asked, can we find her another cabin? No, it's a fully booked cruise. There was no open cabin. Not even the crew cabin was open. So we didn't know what to do. We couldn't, just push her into somebody else's cabin. We were already at sea. We couldn't, disembark her or somebody else. There was nothing that we could do. So we were talking about it, and this was happening. All this commotion, all this conversation was happening in the back office. The guest services, that big window. There are lots of offices in the back where guest services manager and they have the office. And we were there in the office. There was one electrician. It was night, and he was fixing the panels and the lights. So one of us, I'm not going to tell you who. One of us had this great idea, and we grabbed the electrician, and they wear those white overalls, right? We gave them a backpack and a vacuum cleaner. We wouldn't do that these days, but we did it back then. So I took her, and one of us took him and her to the door. We opened the door, we let him in, and we said, don't worry, we'll take care of it. And we told him to just vacuum the cabin for like 10 minutes. But I couldn't plan this better because the guy was really into it. He knew exactly what I needed. So he closed the door, vacuumed the cabin for 10 minutes, and he really went for the role. He, at the end, opened the door, came back with a backpack and said, we got it. And walked away. True story. She went back to the cabin and slept like a baby for the rest of the cruise. We'll never do it these days anymore, but it worked. Hey, who are you gonna call? Electrician. True story.
We got Matthew here.
Hi, Matthew.
Yeah, I was just wondering, over the 24 years you've worked for Carnival, what has been your favorite ship?
This one, the Carnival Adventure. I always say my favorite ship is the ship that I'm on, but and a lot of members, we say that also to convince ourselves that this is the best ship. Now, the ship itself is just a metal box. If you try to understand what I'm saying, what is inside is what makes or breaks a contract. So I was on the Carnival Victory for so many years, and on that same ship, I had the best and worst contract ever. So people you work with, your managers, your team, they can break or make a contract. So I think, the ship, I was so happy when I came here and I saw a different layout of a ship, the Adventure. It's different from the Carnival ships, right? I love, little things like the nightclub on the back, it looks like you're floating above the ocean, different areas, So the ship is a metal box, but the people that you have on board, they are the ones that will make it or break it. So I think this has been, this ship for me, it really stole my heart because of the people, because of the Australian crowd, how kind people are in Australia, the parties, everything, here is so well received. Everyone is so nice to my team. So I fell in love with this ship, so I hope to stay here for a while. I think Oscar is ready. So it's time for bingo. Oscar is going to tell you how much the jackpot is. But I'm going to leave you with one final joke. I'm not going to end, this with a woohoo. I was told by one of you during this cruise that the woohoo is annoying. I just want you to know that woo is just an icebreaker. It's just so people go woo. It's just an icebreaker. So if I did annoy you with the woohoo, I'm sorry. So I'm gonna end with something else. But I need everybody. Knock knock. So everybody, knock knock. Woo. 6 years to come up with that stupid joke. I had to use it. Thank you. Oscarito is coming up. My name is Felipe. Thank you very much.